In 2025, the Russia-Ukraine conflict continues to reshape global alliances. While many nations condemn Russia's actions, several countries have emerged as staunch supporters of Moscow, providing military aid, economic assistance, and diplomatic backing. In this video, we'll delve into the top 10 countries that fully support Russia in its ongoing war against Ukraine, from supplying weapons and ammunition to offering political cover on the international stage. These nations play pivotal roles in the conflict's dynamics. Stay tuned as we explore each country's involvement in detail. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch till the end. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you support Russia or Ukraine? Comment below and join the conversation. Number 10, Mali. In 2025, Mali, under the leadership of the military junta, has solidified its position as a steadfast ally of Russia in Africa. Following the 2021 coup, Mali's transitional government has increasingly aligned itself with Moscow, seeking support to combat insurgencies and reduce Western influence. Mali has welcomed the presence of Russian military advisors and private military contractors, notably the Wagner Group, to assist in training its armed forces and conducting counterterrorism operations. This collaboration has led to a noticeable shift in Mali's military capabilities and strategic orientation. Diplomatically, Mali has consistently supported Russia in international forums. In United Nations votes, Mali has either abstained or voted against resolutions condemning Russia's actions in Ukraine, signaling its political backing for Moscow. Economically, Mali and Russia have engaged in agreements focusing on mining and energy sectors. Russian companies have invested in Mali's gold mining industry, providing much-needed revenue for the Malian government. Furthermore, Mali's state media often echoes Russian narratives, portraying Russia as a reliable partner and criticizing Western policies. This media alignment reinforces the government's pro-Russian stance domestically. Through military cooperation, diplomatic support, and economic partnerships, Mali has become a significant African ally for Russia, demonstrating unwavering support amid the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Number 9, Iraq. While Iraq's central government remains cautious, Iran-backed militias operating within Iraq have shown increasing support for Russia in 2025. Groups like Kataib Hezbollah and Harakat al-Najaba, which dominate parts of Iraq's political and military space, have openly praised Russia's role in resisting Western imperialism. In early 2025, intelligence reports revealed that Iraqi militias facilitated arms and equipment transfers from Iran to Russia via smuggling routes through Syria and Iraq. These groups also organize pro-Russian rallies, spread propaganda across Iraqi media, and fund volunteer fighters to assist Russian-aligned operations. By February 2025, Russian officials acknowledged that Iraqi militias were part of an informal alliance supporting Russia's global resistance network. Funding from Moscow, estimated at $200 million annually, helps these militias maintain their operations while reinforcing anti-Western sentiment. Despite not being part of Iraq's formal military, these militias wield significant influence in Baghdad. Their support is ideological, based on shared Shia solidarity and hostility to U.S. influence. Through these actors, Iraq becomes a shadow player in Russia's favor. Though unofficial, the role of Iraq's pro-Iran militias is deeply impactful, providing covert logistical help and serving Russia's narrative in the volatile Middle East. Number 8, Myanmar. Since the military coup in 2021, Myanmar's junta, led by Min Aung Hlaing, has strengthened ties with Russia. In 2025, Myanmar fully supports Russia's actions in Ukraine as part of a broader authoritarian alliance against Western democracies. Myanmar's military received over $1.5 billion in Russian arms between 2021 and 2025, including fighter jets, helicopters, and air defense systems. In January 2025, Myanmar and Russia launched a joint training program for Air Force officers in Naypyidaw, and the Myanmar Army participated in Russia's International Army Games. The junta also publicly backs Russia in international platforms like the ASEAN +3 meetings, often blocking statements critical of Russia. The two countries conduct currency swaps in rubles and kyats to avoid U.S. sanctions. Myanmar's state media parrots Russian narratives, branding Ukraine a puppet of NATO and accusing the West of hypocrisy over its own interventions. Russia has become Myanmar's top defense partner, surpassing China in 2024. In return, Russia defends Myanmar's regime at the UN Security Council, vetoing resolutions condemning its human rights abuses. Myanmar sees Russia as both a strategic ally and a model of survival under sanctions, reinforcing a mutual dependence rooted in military, economic, and ideological support. Number 7. Cuba. Under President Miguel Diaz-Canel, continues to offer unshakable political and diplomatic support to Russia in 2025. Though Cuba lacks the military strength to contribute hardware, its influence across Latin America and international forums has become a vital tool for Russia's propaganda war. In February 2025, Cuba and Russia hosted a joint anti-NATO conference in Havana, where leaders from over a dozen non-aligned countries discussed resisting Western influence. Cuba openly defends Russia in the UN General Assembly and the non-aligned movement, routinely voting against Western sanctions and resolutions targeting Moscow. Trade between Cuba and Russia grew by 41% in 2025, reaching over $1.3 billion, with significant deals in energy, infrastructure, and food supply. Russia's Rosneft resumed oil shipments to Cuba at subsidized rates, easing Havana's fuel crisis. Cuban universities introduced Russian-language programs and cultural exchanges in early 2025, enhancing soft power ties. Additionally, Russian intelligence reportedly operates from Cuban signals bases, reviving Cold War-era cooperation. The Cuban government frames the Russia-Ukraine war as a struggle against Western hypocrisy, aligning its Marxist revolutionary rhetoric with Russia's anti-Western narrative. Cuba is not just a friend, it's a diplomatic shield for Russia in the global South. Number 6. Venezuela. In 2025, Venezuela under President Nicolás Maduro remains one of Russia's most vocal supporters on the international stage. Maduro has consistently condemned NATO's involvement in Ukraine and labeled the war a fight against Western neo-colonialism. In January 2025, Venezuela and Russia signed an agreement expanding military cooperation, with Russian naval assets visiting Caracas and La Guaira ports for the first time in 3 years. The trade between the two nations surged to $4.8 billion in 2025, fueled by Russian oil investments and arms shipments. Venezuela reportedly received anti-air missile systems and surveillance drones from Russia, while offering rare minerals and oil in exchange. State-run media in Venezuela broadcasts Russian-backed narratives, with over 70% of foreign news now sourced from RT Español. Venezuela's National Assembly passed a resolution in March 2025, officially recognizing Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson as part of the Russian Federation, that makes Venezuela one of the few nations globally to support all of Russia's territorial claims. On social media and in regional diplomacy, Venezuela portrays itself as Russia's Latin American voice. Maduro called Putin a brother in arms against imperialism, making Venezuela's support both symbolic and strategic. Number 5. Syria. Under President Bashar al-Assad, Syria remains one of Russia's most loyal political allies in 2025. Assad publicly declared his unwavering support for Russia's actions in Ukraine during a joint press conference in Moscow in February 2025. The two countries have a deep-rooted military alliance dating back to Russia's intervention in the Syrian civil war in 2015. Though Syria lacks the resources to contribute militarily, it offers logistical and intelligence support. Russian forces in Syria have used Syrian air bases to test new drones and missile systems. In early 2025, Syrian airspace was utilized for weapons transit routes between Iran and Russia. Assad's regime also provides propaganda and diplomatic support in Arab League forums, where Syria has consistently voted against anti-Russia resolutions. Syria received $500 million in Russian reconstruction aid in 2024, followed by another $250 million in early 2025, securing its loyalty. Russia also forgave a portion of Syria's debt in January 2025, totaling $1.2 billion. Assad's government echoes Russian rhetoric, calling Ukraine a NATO puppet state. Despite limited resources, Syria gives unconditional political legitimacy to Russia on the global stage. Number 4. China. While not directly involved militarily, China provides Russia with crucial economic, technological, and diplomatic support in 2025. Despite public claims of neutrality, behind closed doors, China has enabled Russia's economy to withstand Western sanctions. Bilateral trade surged to $270 billion in 2025, up from $190 billion in 2022, marking a 42% increase. China supplies dual-use technology, including microchips and drones used by Russia in the Ukraine conflict. According to U.S. intelligence reports, up to 80% of Russia's semiconductors now originate indirectly from Chinese intermediaries. In February 2025, China's state-owned firms were sanctioned by the U.S. for supplying military-grade optics and navigation systems. Moreover, China has actively supported Russia diplomatically. At the UN Security Council in March 2025, China vetoed Western-backed resolutions condemning Russian aggression. President Xi Jinping reaffirmed the no-limits partnership during a visit to Moscow in April, calling Russia-China ties the stabilizing axis of a new world order. China also helps Russia through the digital yuan, now used for over 60% of Russian-Chinese transactions, bypassing dollar-based systems. Though not sending troops, China's 100% indirect support keeps Russia's war machine running. Number 3. Iran. In 2025, Iran continues to be a core military and intelligence ally of Russia in its war against Ukraine. Since 2022, Iran has supplied Russia with hundreds of Shahed 131 and Shahed 136 suicide drones, and the supply has only expanded. By April 2025, estimates suggest Iran provided over 2,000 drones, which were used to target Ukrainian infrastructure and military assets. What's